All right, hello again to ParentPreneur Assembly, and we have Khai from Eminami. Khai from Eminami, and we're gonna grill him and ask him conversations that can unpack how he balanced the two babies in his life, the family and the business. And we're gonna do that by asking some very real conversations, real questions to see what you think about these two ideas that you are balancing right now. And Khai, I mean, we go way back. I mean, I've seen your journey from Changi, was it Changi? No, Old Airport Road. Old Airport Road to your first flagship here in Kandahar, and now it's in Pasir Ris. So amazing journey, but I'm sure behind all those decorations, there's a lot of untold stories.
Correct.
So I think that the most exciting story is actually how the two of them met and decide to start a family. So because I know a little bit of backstory, right? So this will confirm get you guys at the edge of your seat.
Alright, so I met my wife is Vietnamese, right? And therefore, I'm running a Vietnamese restaurant. So the whole business journey was a bit of an accident. It wasn't planned for. It wasn't part of the 20-year life plan. It's never in the script. So I met my wife in Singapore through a friend. And then to kind of skip the whole thing, we got married like just a year after. And then I brought her to Singapore. She settled in, and then it's quite clear that her goal is to work, right? So she did a bit of home-based business. Actually, she started out as a seamstress. She does baju kurung, right? And then during the downtime, then she started selling food from home. And I was in corporate at that time, right? The opportunity came when because we live across Old Airport Road, and I said to her, you like to cook so much, you nearly destroyed my kitchen. Why don't you go and rent a place and destroy it? And that's when the whole thing started, lah. Yeah. So I wasn't very active at that time. She does most of the thing herself, right? So she comes to me to sort of navigate things, like how to put the brand, how to do the sales. Blah, 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 blah.
So how do you feel about your wife being in business but you in corporate?
I was actually very, 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 very happy, very, very contented. It was a very sweet spot.
A sweet spot?
Yeah, a very sweet spot because she has her own thing and I have my own thing. And at that time, I think, we already have a boy and then the girl is on the way, that sort of thing, right? So it was pleasant. It was pleasant. So he gives her space to express herself. And I was pursuing a career, right? And we both get to do our own thing, and then when we come back home, we talk about stuff, and
But the script changed.
But the script changed, right? Yeah. So I think in my how do I put, what's the word? I think I've always wanted to see my wife be very successful because I was inspired by this abang that I met once. He was a technician. And this is a story which I've never told before. So I was 18.
Fresh story, guys.
Right. See, so you got to spend more time talking to me, then you learn more. It's a true story. So I don't know whether he's going to be hearing on this podcast, but I think he might know me. So I was working in this particular building, and then there's this abang, technician. He's sort of like the facility guy. So and then his wife at that time, they got kids, 2 kids, right? So his wife aspired to earn an MBA, So it's so you can see that the wife is someone who is very far advanced in terms of career. So he decided that I would sacrifice myself and make sure that she succeeds. So I got inspired by that, right?
Oh, how come that inspired you? Why exactly?
I think it's like you spend. For me, I spend my formative years. It's all about being me, I, right? And I got to a stage where I was already in my what do you call the state when you're in your 40s, early 40s?
I don't know. You asked me.
Midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, right? So I thought I've done everything that I could, right? And then I thought that let's give it, let's help someone, and there's of course your wife is nearest to you, right? So help her, And that's what happened. And we opened a restaurant. So it was back in I believe 2023. We tied through COVID when we were still running the hawker business. And then last year we opened Pasir Ris.
So I want to ask a follow-up question because there's a lot of layers to this. Even though he sounds very calm, and it makes it sound like very easy. I had more conversation with him to know that it's not. Because you are doing two things at the same time. You are bringing the whole family into the business.
Yeah.
And now both of you are working side by side. So there's two things happening, which is not something that people do every day. Usually they do one at a time. So how did that work out at the start?
Oh, it's very rocky, very rocky, because there's no textbook, right? So
Yeah.
you got to figure out, try and error, I suppose, right? It's not easy, on one hand you're trying to be the head of the family, and then at the other hand you're trying to, run the business, and you try to keep things balanced, and then you've got to fight, a lot of characters, the ego ones, and so on and so on, right? Yeah. So it's not easy, and I found myself to be the only person in that group who's centered. So being centered is nice because you can hey, I can talk to you, but on the opposite end, you get all the arrow lah.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's on the emotional side. How about let's talk about when you bring a family through business after a comfortable corporate setting. That means there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yes.
Why do you decide to say that, hey, I want to bring them through even though there's uncertainty?
Yeah, I think it was, I've always been a bit of a risk taker. And at that time I had maybe, a lot of confidence in being able to pull it off. Perhaps overconfidence, right? To be frank. To be frank. But, the day when I woke up and realized that I was waiter on day one, right?
You're a waiter on day one?
Yeah. Like as in the business, right? My restaurant, right? Yeah, it's a far cry from where I used to come from, right? I mean, I was living the jet set lifestyle, and then one day you from one end to the other end. So it's a big jump, and it's really.
I mean, maybe that's for you, but your family, wouldn't you want them to continue enjoying the jet set lifestyle while bring them into the business?
Because remember I was telling you about the accidental plan. So I was thinking that I can carry on working, and then what's next 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Because at that time I was already in my 40s, right? So I kind of look beyond work. I see what will my children be like 20 years from now, right? So 20 years from now I'll probably be like 60 odd coming. So I thought that maybe let's work on something that we can hand over to them, right?
Legacy.
Legacy. That's right. That's the word.
So which is the legacy? The brand or the everything else surrounding the brand?
I guess it's the entire thing, right? Because the brand is part of the business, right? Which I'm developing, right? So so I hope to one day to sort of I think in Islam I guess you can say wakaf it, right?
Wakaf, okay.
Yeah. So that's why we decided to do this.
So are your kids now actively involved in the business?
Well, my daughter, she likes being in the restaurant. I think, thank God, she basically grew up in a restaurant. She likes the environment. She's shown some interest, and she's 8 years old. So I think we've come to a point at this time that we've truly become a restaurant family, because our common interests sort of come together.
Interesting, because you're doing opposite of what most restaurateurs are aspiring. They want their kids to get out of the business, but you are bringing them into the business.
Yeah.
How are the people around you reacting to that?
They tell me I'm old school.
Old school.
Yeah. I think my larger family, I think they are quite supportive, because my brother, he's doing his own thing, as my two brothers, in fact, right? And I have a couple of family members from my mom's side, who's also doing their own thing.
Were they always supportive from day one?
Yeah, they were always supportive. Of course, they would say hey, got to make sure that you pay attention to your kids, right? In the beginning, you don't think so much about it, right? Then after a while, you realize that,
So have your kids ever say that, hey, this is very tiring, or this is...
Oh, they do. They do complain, especially, there are times, my in-laws, my sister-in-laws, the family members who are involved in, setting this whole thing up, they majority, 90% fall off the grid, right?
Ah.
Yeah, and they say, oh, we just stand behind, clap hands now, Yeah, so it's
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot to absorb, lah. It's not easy to get family involved, right? I'm sure there are family members who see where you have reached so far, and they see that, okay, can I lend a hand now? Has that happened?
Happened a lot of time. But when it comes to family, it gets a bit it gets very complex. See, so at times when I do hire family, I tell them that it's either you've got to come in as an employee, you've got to set some baseline, so that they know what they're in for, but that's kind of hard, actually. Yeah, hard to do.
So if I were to wrap up this conversation, your kids looking at you and they're going to be journeying with you for the next maybe decade, inshallah, with the brand and all. What is it that you want them to absorb, the most important thing they want them to absorb from you?
From me?
Yeah, from the two of you, maybe.
From the two of us. I think the one lesson, one key takeaway, from building this business, and I want to pass down to my kid, is that you do work, you make money, right? You do business, you make money, right?
Okay.
That's the bottom line, right? But we have to look beyond that, right? What is our value to mankind? Right?
Value to mankind.
Right. So I'm doing this for a purpose, right? And that's something which I hope they understand, right? And that's one thing which I hope they will learn, because when you serve people, there's more value to it, in serving people than earning money.
Thank you. That's just really something to reflect for our kids to take on. So thank you, Khai, for the conversation.
Problem.
I hope
Anytime.
we didn't poke too much. We will continue probing him later after this. Yeah, so lovely conversation. Again, a restaurateur family is a rare breed in Singapore, especially our very challenging F&B scene. And I really hope you guys flourish for the next decade and more. So thank you for the conversation. And that's our ParentPreneur Assembly with Khai from Eminami. Thank you. Bye-bye.